Okay, what's up everybody who's not at SEMA right now? Thanks for checking out video 2 of the Stances Everything Project Why Wait video series. I just want to say thanks to everybody from video 1 who gave it a watch and a comment. It got way more views and likes than I expected. Not that, I'm really out for hunting for likes or telling you guys to hit the notification button or anything, but it's cool to see how many of you are looking forward to the build and the video series and just supporting what I'm doing out here. In the garage, just trying to get things done. So I put up an Instagram story asking if you guys want to see the motor in the front end or if you wanted to see the back half and air management first. Obviously, since I'm sitting here, the motor in the front end won. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do video 1 on the motor and video 2 on the front end. So this is going to kind of walk you through the motor. As you guys can tell, this is an LS motor. I know that's a bit of a, let's say, controversial choice, or maybe the boring, straightforward choice. I chose an LS because really at the end of the day, this truck needs to look cool, throw sparks, do burnouts, and sound cool, and it also needs to start every time I want it to. An LS will help with the burnouts, sounding cool, and starting every time I wanted to. I didn't want to go, do an exotic swap. I didn't want it to be one of those builds where someone puts a cool motor between the rails of their build and it just never goes anywhere and it just sort of gets trailered around, or just a bunch of headaches actually driving. I don't want this thing to just sit around shows. I do want to drive it quite a bit. One of the first events that I want to take it to is actually in London, Ontario, which is about 3 hours from where I live. So, that's about 6 hours round trip. I need something dependable and something that'll work, and an LS will do that. So this is a 4.8 LS, came out of a 2002 Silverado. It came off Kijiji, which is, for people who don't know what Kijiji is out of town, it's basically, it's an internet buy and sell spot. It came out of a Silverado, as I said. The previous owner was going to put it in a drift car and then for whatever reason abandoned that project. I picked it up, motor and trans for $500 if I recall. It sat at Taylor Customs for a while. He was helping me store it, and while I was working on the truck there, and then it went over to Jeff Wybrow, IssyFab, who did the kind of rebuild on it. So it had about 123 kilometers, 123,000 kilometers when I got it. It was whatever, came out of a truck, and we've since put on 799 heads with Chevrolet Performance Blue Beehive springs, Brian Tooley Racing cam, one of their pretty not so aggressive cams. I believe they call it the no springs required cam, even though I do have springs. And then Jeff just sort of went through it and made sure everything was cool and ready to go. It's sitting in the chassis on Dirty Dingo mounts, which mount to Moroso 350 swap mounts for the G-body. Those mounts Jeff already had, so I just combined the two together. It sits nice and low, as you guys can see, and there's a lot of adjustment forward and backwards for when I'm trying to figure out the core support. The transmission behind it is the 4L60E. I know a bunch of you guys are going to be like, Dave, you're sitting on a bunch of neutrals. Hopefully not. To hopefully fix that problem, I put in, or had Jeff put in, a shift kit, sun shells, a servo upgrade, and basically everything you can put out into a 4L60E without totally wasting your money. I expect this to make about 300 horsepower, so hopefully it doesn't blow anything up. We'll see sort of when we get there. There's not going to be a ton of weight over the rear end, and I'm not running super wide rubber, so hopefully nothing breaks when I put my foot in it. But if something does, you guys can comment at that point and say, I told you so. In addition to what's gone on inside of the motor and transmission, on top of the motor is the Phytech loaded intake manifold. I'm not running their Ultimate LS system. The Ultimate LS system and the loaded intake manifold differ in the sense that the Ultimate LS system includes their wiring harness and computer. I'm actually using a factory computer, and I think I'm going to try and convince Jeff to build me a harness. So this is the intake manifold, throttle body, fuel rails, and injectors, and that's pretty much it. The reason I went with that, I do have a Trailblazer SS intake manifold. I know that's supposed to be one of the best flowing intake manifolds for the LS. Unfortunately, it does not look really good. I know that you can put a cover on it, but a new body style engine cover wouldn't look good under this engine bay, in my personal opinion. And I know you can put the smaller previous gen ones on there, but you kind of have to modify it. And I was just like, you know what, this looks really cool, it looks really slick, it's a complete system. I was going to buy that and go for it, and that's what I've done. And with it all together and on here, I'm super happy with how it looked, and I couldn't be happier with my choice there. I also went with the Holley coil pack covers, which is just a plastic cover that just goes right on the valve cover here, covers my coil packs, or actually it would cover my coil packs if I had the right ones. I had the truck coil packs, and they actually don't fit under these covers, so I'm going to have to get some, I think, LS2 or LS3 coil packs at some point and deal with that there. The other thing that the motor has are the Hooker Ls Manifolds. They tuck in really nice and keep things from hitting anything. Again, I know a lot of people are like, why won't you go with long tubes or anything like that? I wanted this to fit. I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to have to fiddle around with a lot of stuff. As you're going to hear me keep saying throughout the series, this is my first time through this, so I'm taking the path of least resistance where possible while still turning out something that I'm going to like at the end of the day. And you know, when I was talking about putting an LS in the truck, Andy at Performance Improvements was like, Dave, get the Holley swap pin and get these manifolds and you will have no clearance problems. And again, another thing that you're going to hear a lot is Andy is some sort of evil genius when it comes to parts numbers and knowing how things fit. He's recommended so many good things for this truck that I honestly can't speak highly enough about him. And as you'll see when I come grab the camera, these manifolds fit outstanding. So you know, I'm really stoked there. So that's kind of a wrap up on the motor as it sits right now. I'm gonna grab the camera and show you guys a little bit more of it and sort of what I talked about here. But that's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions about the motor or some of my choices, or really want to see like a specs list of what's going on, you know, just drop a comment and I'll share it. There's no secrets here. I'm not doing big power or anything like that. I just want a cruiser that'll start when I turn the key. So I'm going to grab the camera and show you guys what's up. So as I was saying, this is the motor as it sits right now, my 4.8. This is the loaded intake manifold. As you can see, it is drive-by cable. So I need actually one little bracket here that'll run the throttle cable through. That doesn't come with the kit, but Phytech does sell it, so I'm getting that, and it's going to come, and then so I'll properly bolt on the throttle body once that arrives. These are the covers that I was telling you guys about. You know, they work really well. They just snap on. If you look right there, I actually have one on the floor over there. You'll see when I walk over there what it looks like without it. And then over here, so the Phytech system comes with the billet fuel rails, the injectors, and everything you sort of need to bolt things together. There's also an O2 sensor, and there's some vacuum plugs underneath this, or some vacuum ports underneath the intake manifold for things like your brake booster and stuff like that. Also comes with the, I believe this is the idle air controller, and there's something else on the other end that it comes with, just to make everything work as you would expect. And then, as I was saying before, these are the Hooker LS Cast Manifolds. You know, nice black pieces with a ton of room. Like, I have so much room in here, nothing's going to hit ever. And it was really good to just be able to run a straight shot from the eidetic column to the G-body steering box without having to do any sort of jiggery around the header, or, you know, if I went with long tubes, cutting them up and then having to get someone like Mike from GT Custom to fix whatever I hacked up. So all in all, I'm really happy with how this is looking, and that's the motor right now. So I'll see you guys on the next one when I go through the front end.